everyone, welcome back to TuckGurus.com. It's me, Alibaba, back here again, once again, sunny old Thailand, and I am so excited here. We have an amazing adventure coming from now on. We're now getting into starting to build websites and how to create websites using things like Elementor Pro, other types of theme builders, other types of plugins. We've got so much content coming, it's going to be exciting. But for now, what we're starting in is this brand new sort of course where we're going to go through Elementor. We're going to go through some of the basics first. We're going to understand some of the elements. We're going to understand how to use it so that when we really want to dive in and start building websites for ourselves, for our clients, we can do it in the most sexiest of, easiest of ways possible, okay? So we're going to start with, I'm going to show you how to install it. I'm going to show you some global settings that is worth doing first. And then we're going to start in the next few tutorials after this one. Start creating some elements. Start diving into it. Start creating websites in a sexy, beautiful, love it way. No more coding needed. No more hours and hours of trying to figure this stuff out. It's all dragging and dropping. Let's come in here to WordPress. And I've got a fake demo site here. I've just knocked something up here, put it on a fake hosting. And what we want to do to start with first is we want to make sure that we install Elementor. Elementor is the first theme builder that we're going to be using. Later on in other tutorials, we're going to be talking about different types of theme builders. But I am a serious fan of Elementor. I love the way that you can use it. You can design, you can code, you can do absolutely everything with Elementor. There's a pro version, which I'll show you how to use as well. But for now, what we're going to do is over these next few tutorials is we're going to be explaining the free version where you can actually still build websites with the free version, and then later on if you decide you can use the pro version because it has some more sexy little features that we can use. So here's a WordPress, clean installation, not much happening on here. The first thing I want to do is go to plugins, and we're going to need to install Elementor. Now I've already installed it, but you can come into plugins, add new, come up the top here, type in Elementor, it'll pop up. And it should be the first one here, Elementor Website Builder. Mine's active because, like I said, I've installed it. But if not, you just click on the Install Now button. It'll then go take you to the next page. You just click Activate, and away you go. And you should be, at that point, should see it inside of your plugins on the left here, Elementor. Now, if you don't know how to use any of WordPress or you're not understanding what all of these features are, then check out some of our other tutorials. I'll leave a link above. But for now, we have Elementor. Now, you'll notice that I've got Elementor Pro here. I've done a little bit of a cheating here, but we're not actually going to use it in these tutorials. But what I wanted Elementor Pro for is so I could just have some dummy websites, things like that, just so I can help explain how to use these things. I also put in here, this is Astra Starter theme, so you can actually come up to add new if you wanted to. Astra is great. Astra is actually themes where you can install the themes really simply and pretty much build websites in a matter of minutes, really. But what I like to use Astra for is just a way that I can show you, because it comes with pre-built themes that I can just use here. So if you want to install Astra as well, it doesn't need to be, because we're going to show you how to create one from scratch. But if you did want to install Astra, the theme stuff, you can type in Astra inside of the plugins, and you'll notice here starter templates. Again, mine says active because I've already installed it, but you can click on the Install Now button. That will then allow you to install it. Click on Activate, and that again, when you come to your plugin section, you should see starter templates. So where do we go? How do we start this new empire of ours that's coming? You can use Elementor on posts, pages, on WooCommerce, on contact pages. You can use it across the board, okay? I use it a lot on pages, posts. I'll use it a lot on e-commerce as well, because you can create e-commerce websites, which we're going to do later on in further tutorials. You can create e-commerce websites very easily using Elementor. What we're going to start with is we're actually going to start with the site settings of Elementor. So to get started, I'm just created 3 pages. I've created an about, a contact us, a home. Doesn't really matter. You only really need 1 page. Like I say, we've already covered this in previous tutorials on how to add a page, but you just come up here. You can click on Add New. You can put in the title. So I could put in test. I'm then going to click Publish. Once I've done that, you'll notice at the top here we have Edit with Elementor. Sometimes it's in the middle here, but what you're looking for is the button that says Edit with Elementor. So when I come into Edit with Elementor, it will start loading it. You'll get this screen here. And here we are. Now, for now, I've just put in some dummy header, which is this section up here, and some dummy footer. We're going to go through those as well. But for now, I just want to show you around and sort of explain how this works, things like that. You'll notice you have these three little dots here, these three little icons here. Now, if you haven't installed Astra, then you're only going to have these two. These two are the default, the plus sign, which allows you to create columns, which we're going to talk about in the next tutorial. And then also you have the folder here, which allows you to collect blocks and pages from inside of Elementor. A lot of these are for the Pro version, but again, we'll talk about that. For the Astra one, I'm just going to click on the Astra one, and I'm just going to... These are pre-built themes using Astra, so you could actually, in theory, come in here, select one of these, change a few little things, and you've actually got a website. But the reason I want to use this is I just want to use this so that I can explain some things coming up. So I'm just going to import that. Just going to quickly import the template, and cool. So you'll notice now that on this page, I have this sort of dummy-looking template, which only took a few clicks of a buttons, and I've got this layout that I want to use. So on the right-hand side here, this is where you see the edits that are being made. On the left-hand side here, these are the widgets that you can drag into these sections that allow you to add text, videos, contact forms, buttons, things like that. So everything's dragged from the left into the right, and then once you have a section on the right, when you click on that section, you'll notice on the left it offers you some different options. This is always the standard look. It's always content, style, and advanced. Sometimes there's an extra tab up here if you're using some certain plugins. You might have an SEO up here or something like that. But these are the main ones: content, style, and advanced. And we're going to go through all of those. So what we want to start with is, you'll notice these three lines at the top here. I just want to click on these three lines, and this will give you some options. Now, this is whether you have Elementor Pro or you have this free version here. This is the same. It's the global settings that we're looking for. So I clicked on site settings, and you'll notice we have lots of different types of site settings here. We have global colors, global fonts. We can work with typography, buttons, images, forms, site identities. We have Lightbox, which is things for the images. When you click on them, Lightbox pops up. So for this one, we're going to work with global colors and global fonts. What are these? Why would we even use these? Now, I cannot tell you how awesome these things are. Like, in the old days, you'd have to keep adding the same color. You'd put in the CSS, buttons, this color. So what you can do is you can set up your brand, let's say. So for example, Tuck Gurus is like this orange, it's like this blue. We have white text. We have, basically looking similar color system to this: orange, white, grays, blues. So what we can do is, as that's our brand, as that's our sort of colors, we can actually set that up. So when we're building websites, we can make this really quick and easy, and we can grab it from a global place. Okay, so under these global colors, we can set up certain color schemes. So let me show you what I mean. By default, you'll have primary, secondary, and text. You can add your own, which I've done underneath. So this is our blue, and this is our orange, so this orange here and this blue. But you can add your own color. Let's say I wanted to add a red, and I can also name it. So this is Ali Red as an example. So now I have these, and you can keep adding as many as you want. You can have multiple colors. You could have border colors. You could have font colors. You could do whatever you want, whatever colors you want. This is something that you want to do at the beginning, because you want to set it up so that when you're building websites, you can easily add these colors. So let's say, for example, my awesome, sexy website that I'm building, these are the color schemes that I want. Let me just X out of this for now, and it's going to ask me to save, and I'm going to click save. And what it's going to do is going to bring me back to the main Elementor section here. So this is the main look where you have intersection, headings, things like that. So let's say, for example, I wanted this text here. And if you just click on it, or if you click on the blue pencil here, and I come over to style. Let's say, for example, I wanted to make this to be one of those colors that I've just created. So under the text color, you'll notice they have this globe. It says custom. I can click on that, and it will give me the options of the colors that I just created a minute ago. So there's the Ali Red, the Ali Orange. So let's say I want this to be the Ali Orange. And I then want these here. I want the same. So I click on then, go to style. I want them to all be the Ali Orange as well. Let me come to this one, clicking on text color, Ali Orange, coming over, service 3, coming over to style, clicking on the text color on the globe here, and I'm going to choose Ali Orange. So now I have all of these set up. I have all my headers set up to be Ali Orange. Now let me show you the power of this. Let's say, for example, you got a client and they change their mind, and trust me, this happens a lot. So you got a client, you built the websites, you got these blues and oranges, you know, they've confirmed this is what they want, but they come back to you in 6 months' time and they say, you know what, we're rebranding, we're rechanging everything, we want to have like pinks and greens now. Why they'd want that, I have no idea, but let's say they want these weird colors, pinks and greens. What you can do is, if you set this right up at the beginning, you can then come in here, come to these 3 lines, click on Site Settings, come back to your global colors, and because we've applied these oranges to be the Ali Orange, if I was to come in here and then say I change this to a green, well, everything that has that orange has now suddenly become green. This is really powerful. Like, this is such a powerful way. Otherwise, what you'd have to do is you'd have to come through each template, you'd have to come through, change it, come back. It would just be so time consuming. So when we're building websites, we're doing it smart. We're not just making something look sexy and that's it. We're thinking about the background. We're thinking about ways to make our edits, if they're paying us, you know, a retainer like every month, then we're thinking about these things so that we can come in here and make these easy edits one time without a lot of headache. Okay, so this is the power of global colors. Always set them up at the beginning, use the colors that you want, come in here and set up your default branding colors. You can do that by getting hex values. Every single one has its own. You'll notice they have these numbers with a hash before it. You can go to Google, you can look up hex value colors, you find the colors you want, and then you can just choose in here, or you can just have the power of what's actually in here and come in and you'll notice this hex color value changes depending on what you click on. Okay, I'm just going to do a Control Z a few times because I just want to bring back my orange. Perfect. So what else have we got in here? Let me come back out of here. Now you've got the same with fonts. So I can come into Global Fonts, and any fonts that are a header. Headers are always these ones here. You have text, which is normally the paragraph, which we'll talk about, which is this sort of text. Accents. So for example, let's say I wanted to have some weird, bizarre, what we got here? Some sort of weird, let's use that one, just so it's an example, and just to emphasize how crazy I am, I'm going to make it 35. Okay, let's come out of that one. So every header that I apply this global font to will have this font here. So I'm just going to quickly update this. I'm then going to X out of that. And just to go really crazy here, I'm just going to, again, click on this one here. Now you'll notice when I click on this, this is actually a heading. It says here, heading. So I can apply a global heading of my header. So when I click on my header, that's what it chooses. I can come down here. I can say, yep, do you know what? I want to go to style, and on my typography, I want to choose headers, so I can make it that new font. So again, when I come back up to these 3 lines and I come up to site settings, and later on the client decides to change it, or you're sort of building this not in Photoshop, but you're deciding to design this website in something like Elementor, well then you can come in here and say, you know what? I'm not digging that font. Let's get something a bit more je ne sais quoi. There we go. Let's give it a bit of winkage and make it a bit bigger. There we go. And you know, this is super ugly. Highly don't recommend what I just did. It looks really bad, but for the emphasis of just showing you here. And there you go. Anything that has this global font applied to it, doesn't matter what page it's on. It could, you know, you could have a 15-page website, but if it has this global font attached to it, it will change it on all 15 websites. Powerful. So really powerful. So let's come out of that because that looks really bad and I don't want it to look really bad. So what else we got inside of here? We've also got buttons. Now buttons is cool. These by default are part of the theme, these buttons. But let's say I want to overwrite these. Let's say I want the background color of these buttons to be my sexy Ali orange. There you go. So now any button on the page, except for these ones, and I'll show you why they're not changing, but these buttons here have that orange. Okay, great. And let's say I want to have a border radius of 10 pixels, something like that. Now, what you'll notice here that when I add this, it doesn't actually change the buttons. And I want to show you the reason why, because you'll notice it changed it on this one. If I change it here, you can notice that this is getting a border radius, but you'll see on some of these that it isn't actually changing. Now, what I want to do is I want to show you why, because most people run into this type of problem, and these little types of problems make you mental. Like they send you bouncing off the walls. The amount of hours I've invested in these little tiny little things that I can't figure out how to do. On this YouTube channel, we're trying to make sure that it helps you and show you how to do this stuff. So, let's say I want these buttons to be orange, which you'll notice that when I've applied my Ali orange to it, my global color, it's applied it to this button, didn't apply it to this button, and it applied it to this button here. Now the reason it didn't apply to these other buttons is because these buttons are being overwritten. They've been created inside of the style. So let me just quickly update and let me X out of this beast. And when I come over here, and if I click on the button, so you'll see when I hover over it, these options are available. And I just want to click on the pencil, the blue and white pencil here, and it will bring me to the style. If it brings you to the content, just come across to the style. And you'll notice that I have a default value of 0, border radius 0. So if I delete this out, you'll now notice that it has these round edges. Now these round edges are now applied from that global button, from the buttons section inside of the site settings. It's the same here. Now these buttons here, this one here isn't going orange. So again, if we click on it, if I click on the pencil and come over to the style stuff, you'll see that I have a predefined color and I have a predefined width and I have a border radius of 0. So I'm just going to delete out that. What you can do is you can click on these colors here and you can click on this clear. So when I clear this and when I click on this one and clear this, you'll now notice that it comes to how all the other buttons are. So the powerful thing is you can create your buttons to be any way that you want, make them look however you want, but you also have the power of overwriting them. So I might want these buttons to be like this, but let's say, for example, I wanted that button to be different. I could then come to the pencil on that button, come over to the style, and then under background color, I could make this one red. So all buttons are orange except for this one. And when I have this button here, I have the red. It's the same as a hover, is I can add hover here and I can go and choose black, for example, when I hover over. So you have your main global settings here, your main site settings, but you can override all of them. So what else we got down here? We've also got typography. Now, typography, the same as anything else here, because remember, we're dealing with these as let's call them at a global level where it takes effect across the entire part of your website. Your whole website gets affected by these, but as I mentioned already, you can overwrite this stuff. So what do we got here? You can see here we've got the text. So this, when it talks about this, it's talking about the paragraph text, like this type of text here, this type of text here. So if we wanted to, we could grab one of our global colors, go crazy and make it pink. You'll notice that all text inside of here is now pink, except for this one. We know why, because it's been overwritten, but I'll come in and show you. What else have we got here? We got links, so we can make link colors to be a specific color. We got H1s, H2s, H3s, H4. Now, H tags are a way of formatting your headers inside of your websites. They're really good when it comes to SEO. So we normally have like an H1 as your main sort of H tag. Then we've got H2s, we've got H3s. It's just a way of formatting different types of titles. They're structured in a specific way. And we can control those. So we could come in here and I could set primary color. So H1's the blue. I could do H2s to all have Ali orange. So you'll now notice that these are going orange. I can also add the typography. So I can either use one of my predefined one, or I can actually create another one. So let's say I wanted an Open Sans. I do like that font. Let's say I wanted it to be really big. Let's say that's too big. I don't want to go too crazy. So 42 pixels. You can add some weight to it. So I could add like a 600. Give it line height, letter spacing. Now let's say this particular setup, you want this to be a global font. You actually want to be using this again. Well, up here on the top right here, you have this plus sign. So you can click on the plus sign and we can make this Ali H2 font. Just do it that. coming really original here. So I've created that to now be a global font that I can call upon anywhere. So under my H2, I can click on this and I can have Ali H2 font for that one. Let's say I wanted the same for H3. I could click on global font and I can come in here, Ali H2. So these I can either create from scratch, add them to be a global font, or I can call upon them from being a global font, which we already talked about, or I can just have them to be anything I want. I don't even have to be part of this. They can just be a default font that isn't going to be on anything else. Entirely up to me. And remember, as I've mentioned before, you can overwrite this stuff. This isn't set in gold. You can overwrite it. This is the same for all types of H tags and text tags. So anything to do with typography, typography meaning text, then you can come in here and create an overall, look and feel that will go across the whole of the website. And if you do this at the beginning, like I keep saying, anytime you want to rebrand, anytime you want to change something, you've just done it like that, and then you can charge the client some money for actually doing this stuff. What else have we got in here? It's the same for images. You can create default stuff for images, i.e. you can have border radiuses, you can make these little corners around your images. So I could have like a 20 pixel border radius on all my images. Again, if you're not seeing it, it's because they're being overwritten, they're being defined inside of the actual these widgets when created. You can add box shadows, you can add all types of things here. This type of thing I don't generally use. I mean, when building websites, depending on it's a funky website, I normally do this more at a widget level, more at an individual level for the actual images. We've also got form fields, so you can set up how your form fields look like, like the little gray boxes. You can choose the border radiuses. You can have background colors, so that anytime you create a form on your website, as soon as you drag that form in, like dragging it into the section, it'll automatically have the look that you've created here. This is really powerful stuff. It might not seem it at the moment, but later on when you're actually really diving in and building websites, you want to build websites quickly. You want to have the website moving along, especially if you have a lot of clients. So what else we got down here? Site identity, another beautiful one. Now, site identity is the name of the website, so you can call it Tech Gurus, and this would be the actual SEO, the title of it. We can change this in the back end, but whatever you put in here, this is what will appear. So Site Gurus tutorial website, I could do like that. I could also do a site description, where you can add something here, or you can get rid of it. You could put like your one-stop place for tutorials as an example. I can add my logo in here, so I can come in here and I can upload my logo, insert that, and that now anytime my logo is needed on my website, it'll be there, especially if you're creating like headers and stuff. I can do the same with favicon. Now favicon is these little, next to these tabs here, you see this little W, the little WordPress logo? This is what a favicon is. And again, you can add your own, and you can see it here. It's asking for dimensions of 512 by 512. And it'll just be every time someone opens up your website, they'll see your little logo at the top here. So that can be done from site identity. Let's come out. We can create certain background colors, so you can have a default background type. So anytime you create a new page, you come in into Elementor, that's what the background will be like. I don't normally use that very much, but it's certainly available. And it's the same also here. You can specify what the mobile or the phone background will look like as well. What you will be using more of is this Lightbox. Now, Lightbox is cool. For those who are not sure what Lightbox is, if I, for example, so let's have a look here. We've got some, so these images here. So what a Lightbox is that when you click on the image, it pops up like this. You have these different options such as sliders. And it also depends which widget inside of Elementor you've used. But in this example, you'll notice it has these icons at the top. I can slide across, things like that. Now you can control this layout. So for example, you'll notice that it has this like gray at the background. If I wanted to use, let's say, an Ali orange, I could do that. I can do whatever I want. I could create my Ali blue, or I could come in here, click on my Ali blue, and then make it have a bit of opacity, just so you can see behind it as well. There's many things you can do like that. You can also, inside of here, you can turn off these icons. You'll notice you have zoom in, these features, make it onto a large screen, which I'll exit out of. You can also share. I can share this image and can also close this image. But if you didn't want those icons to be there, you can actually start checking these to be no. So you'll now notice that I've made all of these no, and we don't have any at the top here, but you can easily bring them back on just by clicking yes. Sometimes they don't appear straight away. Sometimes you need to come back out, and when you come back in, you'll notice that they're all up the top here. You can also choose these things here for titles, alts, depending on how you've created your image. So it's either your image title, the name of your image. There is sometimes when you create an actual image. Let me come out of here quickly and save this and come into where I can edit it. Let me escape from this. If I quickly come to this image, click on it, and when I click on the actual image, you'll notice in here you have captions, or you have alt text, or you have title, or you have description. So these options here, you can actually choose what you want displayed underneath the image inside of the Lightbox. So to get to that again is you just come back into where the images are, you click on them, you then click on one of the images here. This brings you to Edit Gallery. And from inside of here, you just click on the actual image, and this is where you can change that information. So you can customize how it gets displayed underneath just by inside of going the 3 lines, site settings, Lightbox, inside of here, using these options here. And you've got different options here where you can make the text to be a certain color. I can make it to be my orange down here. I can do a color so that when they hover, things go white. Oops, let me come out of that. I can also make the UI color. So let me just add that. Let me add a global color. Okay, so you'll notice that here it goes pink. When I hover over it, it goes white. So that's the white from the hover. The color is pink. Again, these can be any colors. And this is the background that I created a minute ago. You can also make your icons bigger, so we can drag them and make them monsters, or we can make them these little tiny things in the corner. It's the same with the navigation, stuff like that. You can make these icons bigger, or you can make them smaller, or you can get rid of them completely. So people just slide, left click, drag across. So that's how you work with the actual settings of the Lightbox. Very good stuff. If you're going to be using imagery like this, which you probably will be if you've got like a portfolio, but if you're working with clients and they want pop-up effects, very easy to do inside of Elementor. And down here you also have like custom CSS, so you can actually apply your own style to this, which comes in a lot powerful, which we'll dive in a lot later. And then also down here you have additional settings, which will take you to settings of WordPress where you can edit certain stuff inside of Elementor. Now, most of the time you don't need to change much of this. A few things that sometimes you might need to change is you need to disable default colors and default fonts. So if you're noticing that you're making changes and they're not taking effect, you just need to make sure you come in here and click on these two, okay? And that will make sure that works. So this is absolutely amazing. Now we're done with this site settings. So come in here. You want to know how to do this properly? Like, we could teach you for days and days, do thousands of tutorials. The number one way to learn this stuff, the way that I learned this stuff is go get Elementor. Install like a free WordPress, put it on your server. If you're not sure about hosting and installing WordPress, go check out one of our other videos. We explain it thoroughly. But put on WordPress, install Elementor, dive in and start playing with this. Get like a fake theme. Like I said, go to Astra. Go to get one of these themes where you can just add in. Let me just update this and come out of the site settings. Just grab anything for now, like where you're at now. If you're new to WordPress and you're new to building websites with Elementor, just come inside of here and just play. Grab something. You cannot do wrong. If it doesn't work out, delete the page, start again. But this is the best way to learn. This is how everybody learns. Grab a theme, grab some blocks, change them, come into global settings, play with them. What does this do? What does that do? And you will master this. This isn't a hard builder to use. This builder is one of the easiest ones that I found to use. And yeah, have fun. This is about fun. So enjoy yourself. That's it for this tutorial. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're loving these videos. In the next tutorial, what we're going to start coming into is these things here, working with sections, working with headers and titles, making sure you understand Elementor so that when you're ready to rock and roll, this is going to be your empire, and you, yes, you are going to build websites for clients and for yourself. Take it easy, guys and girls, and I shall catch you at the next tutorial. Laters.